Who the hell can wait till morning? Talk now at latenightsportsradio.com.
KHJ Los Angeles.
Portions of the day's programming are reproduced by means of electrical transcriptions or tape recordings.
More reliable than the Denver Broncos. It's 87 Sports Fans.
Wow.
On LateNightSportsRadio.com. Yes, right immediately, right off the bat.
Too soon.
Right off the bat. Well, you were the only one that picked it.
Of course I did.
I
always said they're a different team when Peyton Manning gets pressured. I knew that they would pressure him.
You should be doing the happy dance all over this place right now.
Oh, I did yesterday.
Dear God. Dear God. We'll get to that at the top of the hour. Jim Sarantias from thefantasygreek.com will join us as always. But first, I want to talk to you about DraftKings. Millionaires are being made all season long at DraftKings.com, America's favorite one-week fantasy football site. One-week fantasy means no season-long commitments. Play whenever you want. Got a player who's hurt? No problem. Injuries won't derail your shot at victory because it's like a new season every week, so you're never stuck with the same players. Pick your team in minutes, and you could be on your way to winning huge cash. This season, one listener turned $10 into $5,000. Another turned $2 into $10,000. And a new millionaire has been crowned nearly every week this season at DraftKings.com. You could be next. Imagine winning $1 million in one day just playing fantasy football at DraftKings. Head to DraftKings.com now and use promo code Spreaker to play free in the $10 million Fantasy Football World Championships. DraftKings.com. Bigger events, bigger winnings, bigger millionaires. Enter Spreaker now at DraftKings.com. DraftKings.com. That's DraftKings.com.
What is it, Keith?
DraftKings.com.
Yes.
Yes.
I could use them because my fantasy football season is pretty much done.
You lost this week to a guy who you had to give pointers to at the draft.
You know the sad part? I've lost to him twice this year. I lost to him week 1, too.
I know. He mentioned
well, because the guy I gave pointers to, I told him to draft Peyton Manning, who, even though they lost, still put up enough numbers to make it a good fantasy week, and also Calvin Johnson. I should just shut up next time.
It's an all-out war, son. Don't.
Oh, my God.
But before we get into the NBA, did you happen to see what happened in Cortland, New York over the weekend?
How was I not surprised you were going to mention this?
My alma mater was on SportsCenter, and if you missed the call, here it is. It starts at 13 seconds. Ithaca leading Cortland 20-17. The clock is running. There's no timeouts for Cortland, and they're trying to line up for a field goal. Just listen.
The holder did not come out of the field. Clock's down to 10 seconds. 5 seconds. Oh, there's the snap. Now they got to run a play. Got him. End zone. Got him. Cortland's going to win the football game. Cortland's going to win the football game. Cortland fans put an open hand.
My alma mater, Cortland State, winning the Cortica Jug for the 5th straight year. Sticking it right in the craw of all those private school spoiled brats. Gotta love it.
You know, it should have been us calling that game. We would have done it so much better.
Well, you know what? It's funny because I was the sports director there for my time there. And the only Cortica game that I called, because we only could get the broadcast abilities for a home game, and obviously you alternate every year. The only Cortica game I called, the quarterback's name was Jeff Humble, and Cortland was trying to come back and driving in the closing minutes, and there was a botched exchange on a handoff, a fumble, and Ithaca recovered and clinched the game, and I coined it the Humble Fumble the following week.
The Humble Fumble.
In true Keith.
Okay, maybe we wouldn't have been calling that game.
Yeah, no. Because it was such a rotten, miserable day that day, a lot of faculty went on campus back to their office and watched the on-campus broadcast and gave us kudos, a little feather.
Oh, that's good.
There. So
that's good to know that we've been practicing for this day many, many, many years ago.
Yeah, many.
It has been quite a long time,
I
too.
don't want to talk about how long it's been. So
Yeah.
So let's start with the NBA. Let's get this show on the road here.
Oh, why don't we? My favorite.
We're already 5 minutes into the show. Now, you and I have had a video game love affair with Rudy Gay before,
Yes.
and he's kind of
Well, kind of. You were more in the love affair with Rudy Gay. I was more just kind of dealing with him.
There was a time where you could own NBA 2K with Rudy Gay. There was a time.
Was Rudy Gay the time that we also had Felton?
Yeah.
I
No,
can't remember.
it was Jerry Wallace was the other.
Joe Wallace, that's right.
Yeah. So, we just confessed our nerddom right there. So
I don't think people really disbelieve the fact that we were.
what do you think about the Sacramento Kings giving him $40 million?
Well, they need to do something.
$40 million for 3 years for Rudy Gay.
Well, I mean, Rudy Gay he's still a name. You know, he's not a A-list player, but you look at some of the money that gets thrown at your average NBA player, and it's lucrative. Not as lucrative as baseball contracts, but we'll talk about that later. But, you know, Sacramento is doing better this year than I thought they would. They're still not great, but they're doing better. So I'm not that surprised by this, because really Rudy Gay is one of the best players on that team, and they must believe that they can do something, build something around him.
What does that really mean, though, being the best player on a 6-4 Sacramento team? I mean,
Just like you said, a 6-4 Sacramento team. When was the last time Sacramento was 6-4 to start a season?
I mean,
Quite a while ago.
DeMarcus Cousins has really come into his own the last couple of years, and he's establishing himself as a legit frontier center.
Really, Oregon Trail?
Yeah,
I don't think so. No, I'll be honest with you. Sacramento is my surprise team of the year so far. I did not think they were going to be not only doing this well, but if the season ended today, now mind you, I know we're only 10, 11 games into the season. If it ended today, they would have the 8th playoff spot, and San Antonio would be out. And so would Oklahoma City, and so would Denver, and so would Utah.
And that's why November basketball means nothing.
No, but it's lunacy that they're even at the point they are, because I put them in the same category as, you know, I thought they'd be a little better than like a Philadelphia team, but they're kind of in the same ballpark. And Philadelphia is living up to expectations, being 0-9 so far to start the season. But Sacramento being 6-4 in a very good Western Conference is a big surprise to me. So I'm not too shocked if they're throwing money at players they believe can help them.
They have they lost to Golden State on opening night. They've beaten Portland. They've beaten the Clippers in Los Angeles. They beat Denver on back-to-back games over 3 days. They've won at Phoenix. I'm looking at significant losses. They lost to Oklahoma City on a team that is not scaring anybody these days. They just beat the Spurs,
which is saying something.
Yeah, 94-91. It's a home game against the defending champs. I'm just clicking on the box score. Everybody played, you know what I mean? So you can't hold that against, Pop was resting starters. Nope, everybody played. They played them tough. Maybe the Kings are up and coming. Who'd have thought?
Well, I'm looking at this the same way I looked at Philadelphia when they started last season, beating the Heat, winning the first few games they played, and they looked great for the first 3-4 weeks, and then they just went to garbage. So it depends, in my opinion, if Sacramento, they need to make it at least through December with a winning record before I can crown them. Kings, I'll crown them. But I do give them this, and I think this is why they're winning. And I say this every year that they should win, because in their rafters is a world championship banner from the Rochester Royals.
That's how long it's been since that franchise has done anything memorable.
Bob Davies.
Dear God.
So to me, You know, that team will always have a soft spot in my heart because of that banner hanging in their rafters. And I still someday want to go to Sacramento just to see that.
As a Lakers fan, I can't give Sacramento any credit. I still hold grudge over the Chris Webber era. Chris Webber and Mike Bibby.
Oh, you mean the era when Big Shot Bob saved them from losing to Sacramento?
All you got to do is win the game. All you got to do is win the game.
Big Shot Bob.
When Shaq came up and said that the capital of California will always be Los Angeles, and it's actually Sacramento. Shaq didn't want to tell you anything.
He might have known what he was saying.
What's that?
I said he might have known what he was saying. He might have been saying it as a joke, as a lark.
I'm sure, but it's Shaq. Shaq has one of those voices where he could read Einstein's theory of relativity, and he would make it sound like it would sound like it's the dumbest thing ever.
Yeah, you're right, because Kazan is probably the dumbest thing ever. So.
Just saying. All right, so what else is going on in the NBA here? Derrick Rose is going to sit out another game. I know it's November. It's no big deal. I don't think sitting out now is a big deal. But not to beat a dead horse here. But
we need to beat this horse to death.
2 years ago, when he could have played in the playoffs, when the Bulls were battling the Heat, and
they had the Heat on the ropes.
This is becoming the cautionary tale as to why athletes should always play if they're able to play, because the tomorrow is promised to no one, and Derrick Rose's career might be the equivalent of Sam Bowie when he's done. No. That analogy might be a little extreme, but when you think of Sam Bowie, anybody that knows basketball knows that Sam Bowie wasn't a bust. He was hurt. He was injured, never able to perform.
Yeah. See, the difference was he was injured prior to being drafted. I mean, when he was in college, he broke his leg the first 2 times, I think it was.
Something like that, yeah.
While he was still in college, and he still got drafted ahead of Jordan, which still blows my mind. But he came into the league broken. So that's where him and Rose differ. Because Rose was pretty much healthy when he came into the league, and it was after a season of just getting beat to death because of the way he plays is what really started bringing the injuries around.
Yeah, it's.
But to me, the problem isn't sitting; it's what he said. I mean, I guess I shouldn't say the problem is sitting. I don't believe a healthy athlete should ever sit because that's just ludicrous with the amount of money they make. But for him to say that he's trying to save himself for post basketball, a guy that's making with all of his sponsors, he's making got to be in the $40 to $50 million range a year, if not more. And he's saying that he needs to rest his body to make sure that he's healthy for life after basketball, which is ludicrous. Like, honestly, I think he's one of the stupidest human beings alive to open his mouth and say something like that. And it's not even just him. There are people defending him, which also kills me. You know, it's just we have no grasp on reality anymore in this society. When you have a person making, tens of millions of dollars to play a game half a year, and they're saying that they need to take a break so they're not sore 10 years from now. That's insane. Like, that's pure insanity that we're allowing this to happen. I can't believe the ownership was like, yeah, that sounds like a good idea. Like, if I was the owner of a basketball team and one of my players said that, I'm like, you better get your ass on that court. Period, end of story. I don't want to hear that garbage out of your mouth ever again.
Well,
because that's ridiculous.
Well, and let me ask you this right now. 585-633-7487, by the way, if you want to call in. 585-633-7487. So when able-bodied players aren't in the lineup, is it cheating the fan? I mean, like when Popovich
absolutely
rests the entire starting lineup or doesn't fly them to Miami, Do teams bear a responsibility to the fans to trot
Absolutely.
out their starters every game?